Let's move on to Tuah. How is she gaining even more fame than she had before? How is this back again?
Okay, so I want to just show what I think. This is a YouTube short that I thought nicely summed up the whole thing in less than a minute. Here, 1 second. So if you guys haven't heard about this Tuah thing, this will be a nice introduction.
My Hawk meme coin is live!
Could Tuah girl be in serious trouble? Damning allegations are being aimed at Hailey Welch after her crypto meme coin launch.
This is one of the most miserable, horrible launches I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, then why the f are you on?
The launch of the coin was questioned immediately. The fees for buying Hawk were 15% on top of the transaction cost, something that CoffeeZilla did not take kindly to.
You guys generated over $1 million in fees while y'all's fans got rug pulled.
After the coin surged on launch, it's alleged that tokens held by insiders of the project were sold within 15 minutes of that launch for millions and millions of dollars, crashing the price entirely and losing fans thousands.
This is the worst tokenomics I've ever seen, and it is a scam.
All right. So
fascinating.
I have one question to ask you, because everyone has takes all over the place about the token, about if she's a scammer, is this a rug pull, the whole thing. Plenty of other information out there. You can go see that. I care about one thing and one thing only. I don't understand why meme coins that have no utility, where the whole point is a hype, the whole thing is a rug pull right from the beginning. The whole thing is a musical chairs, and the only thing people are actually upset about is that they didn't get to sell into the volume. That's it.
Yeah,
they're like, you sold too quickly into the volume. I wanted you to wait. Let me sell into the volume too. You do it slowly, and we're gonna get money from the next guy down the greater fool down the road, who's eventually gonna, someone at the end is eventually gonna lose their money. In fact, no one lost any more money than, like, if you look at what would be lost when a coin eventually fizzles out, they're going to lose that. Someone's going to lose that at the end anyway. So I don't get why they're upset about this. Everyone wanted to sell into the next guy.
That is true. They're all victims of the gambling environment that can take place pretty commonly within the cryptocurrency environment.
It's victims.
It's well, yeah. I mean, you knew the risks when you got into it. It's all greater fool theory. You bought it because you expect it to go up, and you're going to try to sell it to the next guy who thinks it's still going to go up. That is, I mean, essentially my problem with most cryptocurrencies, and they're largely divorced from any underlying value in my mind. I have a really hard time understanding why you would put money in any project other than the ones that are, measurable from a volatility perspective and are something that you can hold over long periods of time. Bitcoin, Ethereum, those make sense to me. I can hold those for long periods. I can leverage those with comfort. They're in a regulated space. So yeah, I don't know that anybody should be surprised if a tiny meme coin gets launched on one of these exchanges and you've paid a 15% fee just for the privilege of buying it, which means that money's lost right away. Now you have a 15% hurdle to get past, right, which is already difficult in most environments. Unless the volatility is in the hundreds or thousands of percent, you already have a tough job of actually getting past 15%. Especially if you're trading on very short-term periods. And for this to go down that fast in a 15-minute period, nobody even stood a chance here. So yeah. I mean, this was clearly an environment of individuals that just didn't quite understand what they were getting involved in, for sure.
Well, people are calling for her to be jailed, and I think this is too much. Is
that too far?
Yeah, because she never promised anyone would make money off of it.
Well, this is why the SEC wants to regulate this space so badly. If you're going to introduce a currency, especially under the guise that there's an opportunity for you to earn a return, then this is sincerely duping people, especially if your plan all along was to sell it immediately when there's enough volume. We saw this, 2-3 weeks ago. Young 14-year-old kid launched a meme coin and eventually and ultimately rug pulled everybody who got involved. And then went on a live stream and flipped everybody off.
That's right.
That's deceit. And I think that there is a fit punishment for those crimes. If you're ultimately doing this for the purpose of deceiving uninformed investors, then yeah, there is a crime being conducted there.
Okay, so here's the nuance here. I think is lacking. So SafeMoon, which is my favorite meme cryptocurrency, it's the Fire Festival of cryptocurrencies, and it went up
Fire
in flames.
Festival? Is it that big of a disaster?
Oh my God! It was Braden John Caroni, the CEO. I mean, just completely lied to people. The idea that SafeMoon was supposed to be this coin that's supposed to be this meme coin, but we're safely going to go to the moon, and everyone's going to make money, and blah blah blah. And there was all these different things like, oh man, I should send you the documentaries for it afterwards. But stuff like they're going to build crypto-powered windmills in Gambia in order to power their economy, and then the people holding the coin would get part of that. They have these tokenomics that disincentivize people. Like if you transacted with it, you were charged this huge fee on top of it, and it would be like, oh, it's to encourage people to hold it, because when you do that, part of that fee is broken up and given to everybody else. Distribution, or they used to call it reflections.
Reflections.
If people try
fancy
to
word.
you get part of it. So it's this whole thing. It was this promise, literally in the name SafeMoon, that your promise profits, right? That's the whole idea, safe profits. And it turned out they were actually draining the liquidity pool. They were using the money by, cars and mansions. And I mean, everything you can imagine of like somebody who was just really stealing your money. This is what they were doing. Celsius, the Alex Mashinsky, I don't know if you saw, he pled guilty to multiple counts of fraud, billions of dollars, faking the whole thing. They had a whole build a system. This, to me, these are clear evidence of fraud. This is a girl who got 15 minutes of fame, was clearly, I mean, she didn't code this script. Someone must have come to her and said, hey, here's $125,000. You just will brand it with your thing. They promised her the moon about what they're going to be doing, and then they pre-sold the tokens to other people and who pumped and dumped it to the market. But she didn't do any of that stuff.
That's debatable. You're giving her a bit of a free pass here because we've seen evidence
until proven guilty.
I'm with you. However, I don't think we should automatically assume that she was completely ignorant of what was happening here. There have been many instances of rug pulls in the past that are led by influencers who claim they had no idea these events were happening. They had no idea how, the trading environment worked, or that there was going to be a rug pull at all. And I call bullshit all day long. There's a promise of insane profits to be made on a lot of suckers who are going to put money into something like this. And I find it very hard to believe that anybody who gets involved in these meme coin launches isn't aware of the profit that will come from it. All you need to do is do a Google search of other people who've launched meme coins, and you can see there's countless stories that fall into this framework. So I highly doubt that she was unaware of exactly what was going to play out here. That's a struggle for me, Tom. You're going to have to help me.
Really?
Yeah.
So I listened to her on the Twitter Spaces that happened. I'm not going to play any of that. It's just too painful to listen to. And I could hardly imagine someone so clueless as to what is going on. Like, she seemed to be, if you were going to scam anybody like this.
How convenient for her defense.
Shut up.
Play stupid. That's what I would do.
Fair enough. Okay, fine. All right, so let's say she is guilty. All right, let's say all that. The people who are buying the coins, their plan was to, in a sense, screw the next people down the road. They're not honorable people anyway. They wanted to.
100%. How many insiders were involved in the project before it even launched on the DEX? There were already significant holders, right?
Significant, yes.
Yeah. So she's involved with all of those individuals as well. They all had this.
Even the regular guy who's buying it off of the Solana network, the regular Joe Blow, he's also hoping to sell into the next guy. So I don't understand that if she's a criminal, like if she committed a crime here, they're all part of it. They're all accomplices, aren't they?
100%. The whole group is. Everybody
No, I mean like
involved.
regular people who bought the token.
No. So regular people who bought the token believe that this is another meme craze that's going to result in profit for them, and it would last longer than 15 minutes. But instead, what happened, there was enough volume that appeared on chain, and the original holders immediately started selling into that activity within 15 minutes. That
So
was
is it
the
still a crime if they sold into it over the next 4 years?
Well, that's an interesting question, isn't it? So this is why we have like lockup periods on preferred stock, or we have a regulatory framework in place within the equities markets where directors and officers of companies are required to publish their sold shares of a company, and they have to report that because we need to know who's actually selling at certain times, right? So I would say that if we had that, it's not necessarily based on the time, it's based on transparency. What we don't know, because of the nature of how these environments work, is whether or not they really were selling at the top there. And if we discover that they sold an enormous amount of their holdings at the top, then there you go. That's the incontrovertible proof that they were scamming all of these individuals.
So if it did take a longer period of time, that would be better.
Well, it depends on how much they were selling, right? If I started a project myself and I decided, okay, listen, just like I would be selling a small percentage of my shares in order to fund purchases. This happens all the time. Whenever we look at insider trading that occurs in the equities markets, you might see that a CEO or a CFO has sold 100,000 shares of their 32 million shares that they have because they wanted to buy a boat or a house or something like that, or fund something, they needed some cash flow or whatever. That is reported, and it's usually some small amount, which obviously gives us confidence that there isn't some signal here that all the people at the top of the company are trying to bail out of the organization. Mm-hmm. If this were reported in a way that was transparent, and we could see that they were like, oh, you know what? I see a little bit here. I see some activity here. I need to sell a little bit off the top. Maybe I would feel a little more comfortable with this, but I'm fairly confident that they probably sold all of their holdings at the top there.
Okay, so your problem, you're saying, Tom, I understand it's a game of musical chairs. I get that. But the regular Joe Blow who's buying it, they think they're getting into an honest game of musical chairs.
Yes.
What they didn't know is that people earmarked some chairs to other people and they immediately got it. So they were already doomed to lose. Fine. So I totally understand that.
Yeah. This is a street hustle. Plain and simple.
Well, what I don't want to happen is what happened with SafeMoon, where I don't want this to be that they hang this whole loss on her neck, and everyone who made the bulk of the money walk away scot-free. That's what I don't want. In the SafeMoon thing, there's a few people who got indicted, and then a bunch of these other people that I saw in the community hyping things up, getting money from whatever, who clearly knew there was this problem to begin with. They came out of the work afterwards. Then you should be right there with them. You should have the ankle bracelet monitor right along with Crony. So, and they were talking about Tuah in the Twitter spaces as if they're gonna, it's all her. The developers and all the different people. It's like, hey, you guys also go to jail too.
Right. Well, if any of this is actually adjudicated, they'll be pulled in and indicted as well. If they played a role to actually promote it, and there's enough of a class action suit here of people who have a real claim, then yeah, they'll be drug in as well. You don't just get to say, hey, I had no involvement here, it was all her, and point your finger.
All right, we'll see. All right, well, I'll end on this on a hopeful note. I forget the name of the guy who did Fire Festival. He started Fire Festival 2. I don't know if you saw this.
I did.
And so there's a redemption arc for everybody if they're willing to take it. And I'll buy Tuah token 2 as soon as it comes out.
Right. Listen, we spent half of the podcast here really covering this idea of the utility that cryptocurrencies can provide, a future world that we can all enjoy. If you're going to go start a project, could you please just do it legitimately? Can you build something that actually serves the world instead of just trying to profit from a rug pull? Please.
Agreed. Biggest endorsement for Cardano I have ever seen. Thank you, Mike.